because of the folks he's being inducted with and who have come before him, and all the fantastic folks who preceded him and had an impact on his life. A few of the memorable moments that Coach Salo shared with me were, one was Eric Hirschall's first world record in 2002 on his mother's birthday, March 20th, 2002. He'll never forget that one. He said he told the team to pay special attention to the 200 backstroke race today. And of course, it was quite a race to pay attention to. And another memorable moment for Coach Salo was he said this summer when Coach Schubert announced the captains for the Pan Pacific Games, the captains were Aaron Pearsall, Jason Lezak, and Amanda Beard, all athletes who had swum for Coach Salo. Please join me in welcoming Coach David Salo.
Don't worry, I'm the last inductee. It is an honor. I sat here listening to all these great coaches who've been inducted, and John Evanchek came by my table earlier and said he was inducted in 2006 into the ASCA Hall of Fame. And I realized he retired 4 years later. So I'm not sure if there's a message implied in being inducted to the Hall of Fame or what's going on, but I'm not retiring. I'm hoping that in the next 20 years of coaching, which I think I can endure over the next 20 years, that I can meet or match the guidelines or criteria for being in this Hall of Fame. I know Coach Dalen has challenged me to stay at the University of Southern California beyond the years that he was at USC. I'm going to try to do that. I have a new AD and I've got to work on getting a new contract. I think I've come at this sport a little bit differently than a lot of coaches. I wanted to be a coach. I always knew I wanted to be a coach. I applied for my first job. I didn't get it. And I was a little bit irritated that I got a letter of refusal or rejection. My senior year in high school, I was applying for a job in Coronado, and I lived in Northern California, and I was rejected. I couldn't understand why. I was 17 years old, and why wouldn't they hire me as a head coach? I always wanted to be an Olympic coach. I didn't know what that meant, but I knew I wanted to be an Olympic coach. And going through the process of developing that skill is one in which I really took on my own shoulders, because I was never an assistant coach until I was an assistant for Coach Dalen at University of Southern California from 1990 to 1995. And I owe not Peter for that. I really owe Ingrid Dalen for that. Ingrid knew I was at the University of Southern California working on my PhD, and she told Peter, you need another assistant coach, and here's this guy he's around, he's not coaching right now, and you need an assistant to work all the peons in the dungeon. And so Coach Dalen asked me if I'd be an assistant coach. I was like, yeah, it's great, it's awesome. I didn't know how great Peter Dalen was as a coach until I got on the deck and got to witness the mastery of the coach that he is and still is to this day. I hope that I can achieve the same level that he has. He earned 9 NCAA championship titles at the University of Southern California. We haven't won but one since, when Mark Schubert was the head coach of the women's team. So winning 9 is going to be a challenge, and I'm not sure we can strive for it. But if I stay in for another 20 years, we'll work towards that. I did swim for John Evanchek, legendary coach John Evanchek. I'm not sure he remembers I swam at Long Beach State University. John, I'll give you the story. John was hired about a month, or maybe actually about 2 weeks before school started. My roommate was going to swim for John at Long Beach, and I took my roommate to meet John one day, and before school started, and John looked at me and said, you swim, right? You swim? I said, well, I swam 2 years at junior college, and I'm done swimming. I'm not really a swimmer anymore. And he goes, well, we'll see you on Monday morning. And my roommate said, well, try it, try it. And I said, no, I'm not going to go swim. This is stupid. week, but I'm just not that good of a swimmer anyway. So Monday morning rolls around, and I get up out of bed and I go swim for a year for John Vanchek. And the only thing I remember, he used the phrase, the terminology, lower than a frog's ass. You look lower than a frog's ass. Still not sure what that means. But in reference to my swimming, I think he was talking about me. I was okay. I was an all right swimmer. I'm one of those guys that's a better coach than he was a swimmer. I made junior nationals, went to junior nationals in 1975. I'm not sure why I'm being inducted. I'm only 52. When I started coaching a club team just outside of Los Angeles called the Downey Dolphins. The Downey Dolphins weren't very good. I was 19 years of age. I was actually the assistant coach for about 3 months, and the head coach said, no, we're going to trade places. You're going to be the head coach, and I'll be your assistant coach. Now, he was a really good guy. He's actually in Indiana coaching now. He's retired, he's semi-retired, but he's coaching age group in Indiana somewhere. And he was a real good guy, and he used to smoke on the deck, and I thought that was interesting. And I learned some skills I decided I was going to do it myself. I had a chance to work with John with Beach Swim Club, and he said, yeah, we'll pay you $200 and you come out and you coach with us. And I said, no, I think I'm going to do it myself. I'm going to do it by myself. And so I toiled for 6 years at Downey Dolphins, and remember the lessons I learned that I had to learn at such a young age. We just had to have a policy at one point where parents weren't allowed on the deck. We've all had that. Parents not allowed on the deck. So I had a parent who didn't like me very much. He sat in the lifeguard tower. Sit in the lifeguard stand during workouts, and it's like, okay, I can get through this. I'm 19 years old, I can handle this. So I had a lot of lessons like that. I remember one time coming back from a meet, the president of the board came up to me and says, I understand you were calling the kids. Handshake always called me with that. But I corrected her. I said, I'm sure I didn't call your children. I think the word was wussy. I went to my first, I got an opportunity. I had a young woman who was about 20 years of age. She came to swim with me my 6th year at Downey Dolphins, and she made it to the national championships. And like I remember, like Jack said, I was making like $750 a month back then, and that seemed like a lot of money. And she made nationals, and we were going to take her to Florida for nationals. And back then, the club didn't have a lot of money to support that, so I said, look, I'll pay for it. I'm still paying for it. And we went to nationals. She had a good swim meet, and I came back, and the board president came back to me again and said, well, during the time you were gone, we decided to deduct your pay for that week. I'm making $750 a month. So I said, look, in return, I'm going to leave. I'll resign. I'll quit coaching at the end of the next 3 months, and I tell you in return, I'm going to sell you the lane lines I got from Long Beach State. I'm going to sell them to you for $750. And they bought them. So that was cool. That was a really trip. Talking about memorable moments, and I got some other memorable moments. Coach Dalen, I did get to work with Coach Dalen on the deck at USC. It was a great opportunity to watch again a master of our sport who to this day still can recite the splits of some athlete that he coached back in 1963. I can't remember 1963. But he can remember every year when we have alumni relays. He can remember such detail about these performances of athletes that he's coached over the years. And I had a real tough time with that. In my years at USC, there was a book that came out. Some of you might have read it. It's called Sprint Salo. Some of you read it. Some of you wish you had read it. And I remember Coach Salo coming down to the office that I shared with the diving coach and the golf coach and some other coach, baseball coach. He shut the door and he said, "Dave, I think you're a good guy, but you've got to stop writing this stuff about sprint training." And I acknowledge this day, it was a moment in time where I really realized somebody cared about my career. And it wasn't just me out there. It was a huge moment because although I said, well, Coach, I'm still going to write, I'm going to still think the way I think, but he was okay with that. He just wanted to say, you're going to have a tough battle in this career of coaching because you're way on the outside. You're climbing out on a limb that's going to break on you. John's always supported me. Peter's always supported me. I've also had a lot of support from a lot of my coaches that have been with me over the years at Irvine Nova Aquatics and USC. I remember the days at USC when Terry McKeever and I we'd walk on the deck and she'd go get M&Ms and Diet Cokes and bring them to the deck, and we'd prance across the deck and share ideas about coaching and swimming. And like Dave just mentioned, some of the colleagues that we worked with who've gone on to such distinction and proud distinction, and I'm glad that I've had that opportunity to be a part of a great sport. Sorry. If I tell a joke, it'll work better, but my parents can't be here tonight. My mother's ill. My father doesn't remember who I am. But they're my heroes. My father was a good athlete himself. He was a really good football coach and teacher. He was just starting out raising a family. And now when I see him, when I venture back into Arkansas where they retired, he doesn't know who I am. And it doesn't bother me. He was a great, great guy. They taught me the hard work that goes into the sport. Don't go into it shy. Don't go in it without the passion. Don't go into it without the determination to work hard. I remember my mother used to work in an emergency room as an emergency room tech, and every morning at 5 o'clock in the morning before she'd go to work, she'd be cleaning the house. And then 5 o'clock in the morning, I'd hear the vacuum going every single morning. I wish my house was as clean, but I don't do that. I remember my father working really hard every day, never complaining about anything. Now he's suffering from Alzheimer's, and up until a few years ago, I'd come home and he'd go, "How's your team doing?" It's like, it's going real well. A couple minutes later, he'd say, "How's your team doing?" It's doing really well. It used to bother me, but he always asked that, "How's your team doing?" Now he can't ask that question. But they're my heroes. They taught me how to work hard and to put in the passion in our sport that has allowed me to be successful. And again, I hope I can be successful over the next 20 years to warrant such an honor again. Thanks a lot.